Hi guys, as part of the Your Body is Listening literature, there is quite a few different yoga poses within that, but it doesn't really give you instructions for what you're meant to do with those. So if you're not very good or don't know very much about yoga, this is going to be for you. So we're going to be doing some very static poses just to suit what's in the literature. And the first thing we're talking about is the root chakra. So we know that's all about grounding and bringing yourself into a place of peace and helping deal with trauma. So what can we do to start with? Well, the most simplest move, which is move number 1 in the book, is mountain pose. So mountain pose is very interesting because it's about really standing strong and tall with a good posture and ability to sort of breathe and things. And when your spine's long and strong, then everything kind of works and functions better. The nerves that come from the spine that talks to the rest of the body is going to be better. So it's a really simple but effective move. So what we do is we're going to start by bringing the feet together, taking your feet out to the side and then down onto your heels. But then we're going to slightly pigeon toe ourselves. So if we bring ourselves in like this, we're going to feel that the sides of the mat are parallel to the sides of the feet rather than the insides of the feet being parallel to each other. Okay, you can bring the feet closer together if you wish, if you want to have the feet together, but I like to do it with the feet apart. From here, we're going to bring the knees in and round and take the weight through the little toes, and that's going to create a little instep in the inside of your foot. From here, we're going to make sure that the tailbone's underneath the body, and that's going to contract the glutes just a little bit to hold yourself in place. Also, as we open up the body up here, what tends to happen is the rib cage flares. So thinking about releasing the lower back, we're going to think about the two areas of the rib cage here kind of knitting together, and it'll just open up your lower back here. So you're going to be squeezing your bum, which is going to open up the lower back, the sacral region of your lower spine, and then you're going to pull in here and it's going to open up the middle of the to lower back and hold here. So your collarbone's nice and open. You're in that nice straight line. You will feel like your knees feel like they're slightly twisted because you're putting the weight on the outsides of your feet. And you're going to come up nice and high. Drop your arms down. Just bring your shoulders down your back without, again, pigeon chesting or opening too much. It's just kind of a neutral drop. Fingertips down by the sides of your body. Stretch your fingertips. Now imagine there's a string on the top of your head that's pulling you up nice and tall. And that's going to elongate your spine. And your head's nice and loose, and the neck to chin to chest is all open. Okay, now we're going to just have a little sway in this position. Feel the weight move from the heels to the toes. Try not to claw the toes if you can. And then find the middle point in the middle of the feet, in the middle of the body. Now close your eyes. Imagine your feet are sinking into the ground, a bit like when you're at the beach and the waves wash over your feet if you've been to the beach, and then as it draws back you can feel your feet sinking down into the sand. It's that kind of feeling, really grounding yourself down. Now as you breathe, you want to breathe into the tummy first, then fill up to the chest. So let's take that breath in. Exhale. And again, breathing in again. Exhale. You might notice I have a block next to me. You could actually do this with the block as well. So bringing the feet slightly closer towards each other, placing that in between the knees and the hips. A little squeeze of the bum's going to push the hips forward. You're going to feel the knees pushing towards each other, and that, as you do that, push the hips forward, is going to round through your little toes. And again, that's just going to make your glutes a little bit more active, and it's just going to give your knees some stability. So if you close your eyes again, you feel a little bit more stable in that position. And you feel that although your hips are opening up, your kind of feet are falling into a nice position and your back is nice and open. Again, don't let that chest pigeon. Big deep breath in. And exhale. Okay, let's take that out. Now, the second move in the book is tree pose. Tree pose, like it sounds, is meant to look like a tree. So if you think about the supporting leg being your bark, your trunk of your tree, going into the ground and spreading roots out, so it's very stable. It means that if the top half of the tree is moving, the bottom half is going to stay very stable. Only rotten or unstable trees blow over in the wind. Most of them have a really deep-rooted system, and think about that as yourself. The more deep-rooted you are into the earth, the more deep-rooted and grounded you are in yourself, the less people are going to be able to knock you about. So what we're going to do is make sure the hips are nice and level, and then take the foot over to one side and just pop it on the side of the toe. So this is move number 1. Contract through your tummy muscles here to engage. Keep opening the knee up, so it's going to be a little squeeze of your bum to open the hips up. Just relax all the tummy muscles here, pulling in here. Relax the shoulders. You can bring your hands into prayer, or if you wish, out to the side or onto your hips, whatever you feel comfortable to do. Now you're already going to feel that this is going to test your balance. If you can, you're going to bring your foot and just teeter on the tops of your toe. Teeter on the tops of your toe. So just kind of sitting with a little bit of weight on that toe, opening up the knee a little bit, pushing the hips forward, a little squeeze through the bottom, and stabilise the hips. There we are. If you want to go one step further, you're going to bring the foot onto the side of the calf. Again, if you squeeze the bottom, it's going to open and pull the knee back. It's going to open up, pull up through the supporting leg, make sure your hips are as level as it can be, and push the heel of the foot into the leg. So it's a push. Rather than trying to resist it from dropping, push the 2 points together. Now, if you want to bring your branches out to the side, you can do. Find yourself rooting down. Think about those roots going deep into the earth. Big deep breath in. And come back down. I'm going to go on to the other side, not to do the same thing necessarily, but to show you a variation. So try not to ever put your foot on your knee here, because it can kind of push your knee out of place, and that's not what we want. We don't want to lock the knee in place. But if you can, you're going to bring your foot up. But most people stop it from sliding. But if you actually push your heel in and push your hip the other way, so the 2 points coming together and pushing in towards each other, you're going to activate the hips to bring them more stable, because there's a lot of work going through them. A little bit of a squeeze of the hips and the bottom. Contract through your pelvic floor here, and then open up. Big deep breath in. Exhale. And if you feel unstable, what you can do is bring yourself into the centre line and open back up again. And release. It's quite nice. So we're going to open up the backs of the legs into a forward fold, because that's going to let the channels of energy come up the back of the legs. So this is quite a nice thing to do in the morning if you feel ungrounded and you've got a busy day ahead of you, or if, I mean, these whole moves are, or if you feel like someone's kind of stressed you out and you feel unable to kind of cope, these are good moves for that. So spread your feet, bend your knees, and drop your chest towards the top of your legs as best as you can, and then drop your arms down. Now get a block if you've got one, if you need one. Put your weight near the front of your toes rather than in your heels. Now if you can, I'm going to let your head drop and feel your lower back open, but however, if you have blood pressure problems, you can lift your head up, because it can be very uncomfortable. Now from here we can start to work towards straightening the backs of the legs, if we feel we've got the ability to do so. And don't worry about being the most perfect forward fold going. It's not the point. The point is to open up the channels from the heel up the back of the legs in towards the hips, spread the toes, feel them root. And if you feel ready, you're going to allow your weight to come forward. Now it's first thing in the morning for me, and my back is very tight, so we're going to let that open and feel the backs of the knees open. Now if you want, you can just change the weight backwards and forwards into the foot and the heels, or if you need to, you can bend the knees. Keep that tailbone quite high though, so the tailbone's not coming down. Keep that tailbone nice and high, and then you can work again towards straightening the legs one at a time if you need to. Only stay in this position for as long as you feel comfortable, and you can work towards straightening and being more open as time goes on. But that's entirely up to you, and it does take time. Especially, like I say, first thing in the morning, you see even just those little bit of stretches, I'm starting to get deeper and deeper. And breathing is really important, so we're going to breathe in. Body might lift, and as we exhale, just contract the tummy muscles back a little bit and let everything go. And then very gently, let's lift. Put your hands on your knees and come back up. Oh, that feels nice up here. Okay, so let's move that block out the way for the moment. Now, we're going to go into a very, very, very basic warrior one So I'm not going to show you how to get up off the ground or how to get into it in lots of moves. We're just going to take the feet nice and wide for the time being. Feel yourself quite grounded and quite rooted. We're going to turn one foot towards the front of the mat, or whichever you've chosen, whichever side you want. And the back foot, we're going to turn to a slight angle. Because if you'll notice, while we're in this position, even though the foot's turned, this hip wants to collapse and your knee will collapse. But by actually just turning the hip slightly, the whole body will turn with it. And then take your knee down. Don't overhang the toes if you can. Knees on top of heels. If you want, you can take that slightly wider. You want to round through your little toe. So just create an instep in the inside of your foot and round through your little toe and push your heel into the ground. You're going to keep that nice and level, and we're going to allow the body to just slightly begin to twist forward. Take the hands up nice and high and open up, elongate this area of the body. So we're going to reach up. So think about your hips going down and your chest coming up, reaching up nice and high. Spread the toes, look up towards the ceiling or out in front of you. It's a warrior, so maybe you're looking for the enemy coming on, although I don't believe in enemy necessarily, but the challenge that's coming on. So you want to kind of think yourself, I'm ready for this and I'm rooted, so it doesn't matter if someone comes, they're not going to push me down. I'm nice and I'm strong. So breathe in and expand that chest, that defense. And exhale and say, I don't need the defense because I'm rooted and nothing's going to upset me. Spread the fingers. Keep reaching up. Keep adding to that elongation. Try not to hunch near the ears. And release. Whew. Keep yourself stable in this position. Just turn your foot back to that right angle. And we're going to go into warrior two. It's the same principle, but instead of twisting the body to face the foot, we're going to keep the hips level with the side of the mat and take the knee down. What's going to happen is your knee's going to want to nap. If you're short here, it's tight, your knee is going to want to fall in. So just keep that knee back. So squeeze your bottom. This is the best way to do it. Squeeze your bottom, push your hips forward, and then let that knee come down and just kind of twist in towards it whilst opening the knee. You'll feel that opening here in the leg. Take your hands up nice and high, spread your fingers. Make sure you feel nice and solid. Exhale, reach the hands down, level with the shoulders, set the shoulders down, don't just drop them. Feel the shoulder blades engage and pulling down the back. Open up, straighten the fingers from either side, looking nice and strong. Again, breathing in. Exhale, heel's going to come down into the ground, drop the body down, lift the body, keep the arms nice and strong. Again, you're a warrior. So you're rooted and you're strong. You can take on anything, you can cope with anything. Don't let that knee fall, keep it open, keep rounding through the little toe and release. I've not done it on both sides because I just want to show you how to do each one of the moves. Now this is a very difficult one. We're going to go down into a nice big squat, open squat. Now I understand this is uncomfortable, but when we get it right, it's really good for our digestive system. And if you're like me and you're in Dubai and nobody wants to go to the toilet that's a hole in the ground, you'll be able to because you've got the flexibility. Sounds a daft thing to talk about, but I think it's very, very, very useful. Big deep breath in. Right, imagine you've got a lovely, 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 lovely chair behind you and you're just trying to find it with your bum. And then you're going to open up your knees and create space in your hips and your femur. Find that work there. Just make sure your feet feel like the correct distance spots. You might even want to turn them very slightly. Reach your hands out in front of you. And then very gently open up your knees and see if you can lower yourself down into it. Now, I probably made that look quite easy. Hands come into prayer and they're going to support the knees apart, but I know it's not. However, there are other ways to get into that position. So, variation for you. You can come onto your toes and keep on your toes and just keep the hips apart and start to work towards that. And then work towards dropping your hips down. But if you're new to this and it feels really uncomfortable on the hips, bring yourself down, open up your hips. If you can, you're going to reach towards your ankles or your heels and just let your hips open into this position. Because although you're not necessarily in the same balanced position, what's going to happen is your hips are going to be in the right side kind of place and your lower back is going to release. So take a big deep breath in. Let the breath go. and release. Drop your feet down, drop your hands down onto your tummy, down, point your fingers down towards the base of your tailbone. Take a big deep breath in. Let your breath go. Namaste.